Yeah, of course. So our main aim at Energise Barnsley is to reduce fuel poverty. We also want to help people that don't have access to renewable energy. We want to support them in the transition to net zero. This is part of something called the Just Transition. The Thousand Solar Homes project is what it does what it says on the tin. Essentially, we'll be installing solar panels onto 1,000 social housing homes across the Barnsley borough and over the next 18 months. That equates to roughly 3.2 megawatt of solar, and it typically reduces residents' bills by 20 to 30% a year. And it also reduces carbon emissions by 800 tonnes a year. As you've already mentioned, the project, the Thousand Solar Homes project, is primarily funded by the bond offer through FX. We've also already secured a £1 million grant from the Redress Fund via the Energy Savings Trust and £1 million from Barnsley Council, which is recycling feed-in tariff from a previous project. So we're already in a really strong position. And as you mentioned, we've already hit 1.5 million, which is really exciting. And even more exciting, we have just started installing solar panels onto the first few homes this week. So the project is already underway, which is fantastic. We always are installing solar panels onto social housing homes. Many of the residents living in them are elderly or vulnerable, so they are normally accessing those kind of benefits. So when we install solar panels on for free, they then get the free generation. And yeah, if we can reduce their electricity bills by 20 to 30%, then it makes a big difference to them. The Ashton Awards are to promote things like community energy. They are a charitable fund created by the Sainsbury's Trust, I believe, and they then support community energy projects and ethical projects like ourselves. So we won the People's Energy Award, which was for the battery project that we completed in 2023. We installed batteries into 75 homes that had already received solar panels. This helped them reduce their electricity bills even more. So the solar panels were already reducing their bills by 20 to 30%. Then the batteries on top help them use the generated electricity or the stored electricity in the evening or overnight when the solar panels aren't generating. And that means that they can increase their savings even more. It was a great recognition of the work that we've done, not just to help social housing tenants or residents, but it also helps promote the concept of community energy to help the most vulnerable. And it has also helped us attract further investment into this project. We were also very fortunate to receive a 10,000 grant as part of the Ashton Award. And that actually goes straight into the community fund, which I can explain more about later. And they also created a video for us on the battery project, which is actually on the FX website underneath our profile. That is where the partnership with Barnsley Homes and Barnsley Council really comes together and really creates the importance, the impact. We have liaison officers that go into the homes and kind of warm up the residents. They explain what the options are. You know, not everyone wants to have solar for various reasons. There might be health conditions that mean they don't want the upheaval, but the liaison officers go in and explain what the impact will be, how it will help them reduce electricity bills, how they can utilise the energy the best, i.e. using it more during sunshine hours. And it just creates a better impact, basically, and a better feeling. They don't just feel like there's some people just throwing tech at them. And as I mentioned, we've got that contract signed up with Barnsley Homes. They have a housing stock of 19,000 homes. So
Mm.
they have a nice big pipeline for us to install solar onto as many homes as we want, as many as viable. And that, you know, the contract allows us to install solar onto individuals' homes, but they do need to be social housing homes, and we are targeting the most vulnerable. Obviously, Barnsley has a really interesting history with energy. It used to be a coal mining town with heavy reliance on fossil fuels. As you just mentioned, it also has one of the highest levels of fuel poverty in the UK. But conversely, it also has one of the most proactive and ambitious councils regarding net zero. So these elements combine to make it a really perfect place to have these renewable community energy projects. The one question I always get is there enough solar is there enough sun in Yorkshire? And I can confirm yes with previous projects. And as I've already mentioned, you know, there are enough sunshine hours, and the ability of solar panels these days allow residents to save money. And if you're living in fuel poverty, saving 20 to 30% on your electricity bills is a big difference. So the first project was in 2015, 2016, just before the feed-in tariff was cut. And that was, luckily we got in before they cut it. So we installed solar onto 321 social housing homes and 16 council-owned buildings like schools and leisure centres. The residents and the users of those homes and buildings have been receiving the free energy for the last 9-10 years, and they will continue to do so for the next 10 to 15 years. That was our first project. We've also installed batteries onto 150 homes through 2 pilot programs, one of which won the Ashton Award, as we've talked about. And another project was installing air source heat pumps into 40 homes, which was again another pilot. So, as we've mentioned, the target is 3.675 million, which is an ambitious target, but we are pretty sure we can do it. We want bond investors to help us deliver the 1,000 solar homes project. That's the simplicity of it. And the more we raise, the more we can install solar panels and the more we can reduce fuel poverty. We've already raised 1.5 million, which is fantastic. And a benefit for bond investors, they will receive 6% returns a year over the next 2 years. And I think the kind of people that are online listening to this will feel good about the fact that they're investing in something that's a forward-looking project. It helps alleviate fuel poverty, it helps achieve net zero targets, and it advances these community energy projects. So I think it's a great offering.